Welcome to episode 27 of the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token podcast. We are here. I'm Euan.
Hello, I'm Chris.
He's Chris. And Pawel's missing.
Pawel is missing. Now, we did say that he was going to be here for this episode, but
Did we?
And he tried.
Oh, we make a lot of promises on this podcast. And
especially about Pawel.
The thing about us is we almost fulfil them. That's what really matters. You know.
Well, he was going to be here. He had a bit of an emergency to go and deal with, so there's nothing we can do about that. Nothing we can do.
He's dinged.
Aye. He's thingy does.
Yeah.
He's probably sitting playing some RPG somewhere. That's probably what's actually happened.
The pair of them will be getting deep into Vampire Chasm or whatever that is.
Well, episode 27, so this is post-birthday episode. Is this officially season 2 now, Euan?
I guess it is. Year 2.
Year 2.
Year 2 of the podcast. It's this is a momentous occasion. It does feel like we've hit a milestone, and now
it does,
and it's caused brain trauma.
I'm glad it's behind us.
Aye.
Onwards and upwards, though, Euan, eh? Onwards and upwards.
Onwards to better things.
You got any more cliches? Actually,
Well, I like a good cliche. A Rolling Stone gathers no moss.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that's one of my favourites. But it takes two to tango.
Yeah, it really does.
It's a game of two halves.
Can't disagree with you. Definitely can't disagree with
you. There's a lot of two-based. There's a lot of sort of duality in metaphor and cliche.
A bird in the hand. Two in the bush.
It's useless if you're trying to make a sandwich.
It really is. Yeah. Right. Well, let's just break straight into this. We're going to talk about some video games first.
Straight up with some video games.
We'll do some board games afterwards.
Yeah.
Right, so video games. We'll talk about the blockbuster, will we?
Well, yeah, you've been getting into it.
I've been getting into it. So this is Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, which Pawel is not going to be happy about the fact that he's not here to talk about it. But
well, he got to play it before you.
He did.
He was boasting about it on last week's episode. So. Or the one before that.
The only reason that he got to play it before me was because I just didn't play it for a few days.
Aye, and you mucked about when you did start playing it.
When I started playing this game. I mean, it's a Deus Ex game. It's what are you going to do? I mean, as soon as I started that game, I was just like, you have to go through this mission, to go and actually do some proper stuff. But then once you get into the sort of free roaming part of it, I was just like, I'm going to knock out the civilian and trap him in his floorboards. Because that's what I do.
It's entertaining, isn't it?
That's it.
It's escapism. It's what we all want to do.
Right, well, one of the things with Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, I don't have a lot to say about it. It's more of the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not like faulting it for that.
No.
Because Human Revolution was a good game. I really enjoyed it. But I was kind of expecting a wee bit more from Mankind Divided, and so far I've not really seen it. It's almost just like it's the same game, just picking up where the last one left off, and there's not that much changed about it.
It's just not maybe becoming a sort of more modern trend of episodic gaming where there's not going to be massive leaps in what you can do.
But no, because we're talking about episodic gaming's kind of like something that comes out every month or 2 months or 3 months or something like that. This is years apart.
Well, Deus Ex has always had this problem.
Platform.
Like, yeah, it's been going from. Well, I don't think they've ever had the same game out. Well, no, the first two were both available, I think, on the Xbox. I seem to remember playing.
Yeah, I don't think I played either of those.
But there was a fair gap between the second one. I only really played much of the second one. I like you, I mucked about basically as soon as I got into it, and just was finding all the different ways of doing the early missions. And there was a big gap, I think, between that and Human Revolution.
Let's have a look at Deus Ex: The Fall. Sorry, I've not played The Fall. Obviously, I've played Human Revolution. Not The Fall. What am I talking about?
The Fall.
Sorry, I'm doing some actual research.
Deus Ex Marquis Smith.
Yep. So 2003 for Invisible War, and Deus Ex came out in 2000. So yeah, you're talking about 8 years after Invisible War that Human Revolution came out, and then 5 years since Human Revolution came out. It's 5 years.
Bloody hell, it's been that long.
That Human Revolution came out, and now Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
I mean, all you can really say is that there's changes to the interface, so the user interface is different, and the controls, you can they actually give you an option at the start of the game to use the same controls you used in Human Revolution.
Right.
But I've switched over to the new recommended controls, which it's taken a wee while to get used to, but they do seem to work. It's kind of weird having triangle as the run button. I don't know what to do with that.
That's a very strange feature. Yeah.
I keep pressing R3.
Is that their sort of how they're now sort of developing the game, tampering with it? Well, we'll make triangle. Nobody's ever done triangle as the run button. This is our new big thing. Yeah.
But like I say, I mean, obviously the graphics are better. It's the game's less orange because Human Revolution was a very orange game. But
pleasingly orange.
Yeah, it looks more realistic, I think we'll say.
Gritty.
Aye, more gritty and realistic. And Adam Jensen is just still the same boring tit that he always has been with his gravelly voice. But
basically doing Ben McKenzie in Gotham.
Aye,
or him doing the Adam Jensen.
But I mean, what can I say about Mankind Divided? I mean, if you don't really know much about it, the story of it picks up sort of a couple of years after Human Revolution ended, when there was some crazy shit happened at the end of Human Revolution, where basically all the augmented people went crazy and started killing each other and stuff like that because of some virus or something like that. I can't actually remember that much about it.
Is that treated as the canon ending?
That's the canon ending, yeah. Because I think you do get a choice at the end of Human Revolution what you want to do.
Basically make this is the sort of the good ending. I think is to sort of essentially get augmented stuff out there, completely, redesign the human race and get everybody augmented to buggery. Basically,
yeah,
I think that was the general plan.
So what they've picked as the canon ending is that everybody goes insane.
Right. Okay.
So there's then just like this prejudice against augmented people now, and when you start playing Mankind Divided, and for some reason Adam Jensen's stationed in Prague. He's joined some government agency or something like that.
That's where you send spies.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of sort of like, and Prague's like one of the worst places for people to be. In the world, basically, if you're augmented, there's a lot of prejudice against them.
All right.
So you wander around, you're constantly being harassed for your papers and stuff like that by the police and all these kind of things. And one of the more amusing things was that I got on the normal people part of the train, and one of the policemen was not happy about that.
Oh, right.
Told me not to do that again. So I had to get in the segregated part.
You actually get to experience apartheid.
Yeah, you do.
That's some deep shit.
There's some themes going on here, like definite segregation stuff and that, are augmented people a race? Are they a different race?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
What is life?
Well, what is love, Euan? Baby, don't hurt
me.
Well,
the robots don't know. You ask them what love is, and then they kind of like sparks shoot out of their eyes.
I now know why you cry. But yeah, I mean, so I'm still in Prague. I don't know if I'm assuming the game moves on from there at some point.
Yeah, generally that's.
So I'm still just kind of wandering about in Prague and just doing side missions and stuff like that. But I mean, like I say, it's the same stuff. It's the same game. There's a new part of it where like your augments, like it's kind of a spoiler here, but it happens right at the beginning of the game basically,
right.
Where like you go in to get your augments fixed after something happens to you, and the guy that's fixing you discovers that there's a whole lot of experimental augments just sort of in your body and nobody knows how they got there. So you can turn those on and off, but if you turn one of them on, you have to turn off another augment. So you have to choose what you're doing.
Oh, right.
But like, we know somebody who has said that he basically played through the whole of the game. The game is not that long.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing about it.
He said about 20 hours or something, maybe, if that. Like 15 to 20 hours, I think he said. And he basically never turned...
You can take a long time to complete games as well. Like
exactly,
sort of collecting everything and all that.
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't know if he did that, but I think he assumed that he had more time than he did.
Yeah.
Is the problem.
Yeah.
But he says that he went through the whole game without ever turning any of those augments on because he just never got round to doing it. He just said he didn't really see the need for it.
Yeah.
So, like, the augments are basically the same as they are in the previous game as well. It's just the same things, smashing through walls, turning yourself invisible for a while, being able to see where people are through walls and stuff like that. Hacking computers, you can buy all these different things where you get your praxis points, which are just upgrade points, Praxis points. And one thing, you can buy praxis points with real money. Like, why would you put that in a game like this?
What in-game?
in
mini
game
purchases.
you can just buy them with your actual hard-earned cash.
That's shocking.
To buy upgrades for Adam Jensen.
But then again,
in an RPG, it's just weird.
I know. That is. I mean, I can't imagine the mind of someone that would do that. But then again, there's a part of me saying, well, fair play to the folk making it. Going, look, well, people are paying for this crap anyway. Most discerning players will not want to do that, but there will be a few arseholes that will.
Oh yeah.
Why not put that in for them and rake a bit more cash off them? I'm kind of leaning towards that being all right.
No. This is fucking capitalism at its worst. This is capitalism.
Pawel will be all for it. He loves
I don't know. He changes his mind every 5 minutes.
He flip flops on capitalism.
He goes from capitalist to communist at the drop of a hat. But yeah, it's really weird what they've done. I think that's a weird choice, and I don't want to see more of that in games. I mean, I feel like an old man by saying that. Because, like, it almost feels like this is the thing now.
Yeah, and it's something that's running away from you and it's completely out of control.
I'm just like, no, bring back the old days of gaming.
Who makes Deus Ex?
Square Enix.
Oh, right. I was going to say, like, I'm trying to sort of pinpoint...
Sorry, Eidos as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, they developed it.
I think
the publisher was
certainly
Square
seems
Enix.
like more of a Square Enix development than that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Square Enix doing that. Square
Enix.
Who came up with that nickname?
I don't know, but I like the sound of it. It's like that, there's a dance group called Aquasky, and I constantly call them Aquasky. I think it sounds better.
That does sound better.
Sounds better.
Aquasky.
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 I'd go and see Aquasky.
It's like Nomansky.
Nomansky.
That's what Pawel's playing. He's not playing No Man's Sky. He's playing Nomansky.
Nomansky, yeah. The Polak version.
The Polak version, yeah.
Every planet there's some sausage, a different type of sausage.
Hunting sausages.
I'm sorry. We just cannot seem to go like one episode without coming out with something horrendously racist.
I don't know if that's racist. I mean, Nomansky does sound like a Polish thing.
Nomansky, yeah, I guess. Write into us if you think that's racist.
Please tell us.
If you think that's racist.
We're not racist. I'm certainly not a racist.
All right.
I just want that known.
Well, we're non-racist because we're in the media.
How does that work?
Because all the types, like media types, you got to be non-racist. You got to be all PC and that.
I don't know, like it doesn't happen.
Most people just do that by choice.
Yeah.
By realising that's probably a better thing.
Yeah, that's the morally sound thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get off this topic.
Let's move on.
So yeah, Deus Ex, I'm sure Pawel's going to have a hell of a lot more to say about it, because I'm not even touching on the world here. Like, the world that's been created in Deus Ex, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's obviously very cyberpunk, augmented humans and futuristic shit, and all that, like flying police drones, all that kind of thing. Oh, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. But, like, I'm sure Pawel would have more elegant ways of describing this world. Other than me just saying, I quite like it.
He will have immersed himself in it.
Yeah. Because I think that's his thing with this, because he seems to have been loving this game. And
really?
Yeah. I mean, he even started trying to send messages to Eidos or Square Enix or something like that on Twitter, just telling them how much he loves it. He's just fanboying.
Yeah. As is his wont.
Using your Twitter account, I think we should add.
Well, it's good that somebody's doing it.
But, yeah, I mean, I quite like walking through Prague. I haven't been there. I haven't been to Prague.
Yeah.
You can kind of see that it's, this is Prague, but it's a futuristic Prague.
Yeah.
So there's sort of futuristic buildings and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Futuristic architecture, I suppose you would say, mixed in with the old style of architecture.
Right.
But I've been quite enjoying just like wandering about in it and, trying to chat to the civilians, and if any of them get cheeky, just knocking them out and then reloading my save game.
Slicing them up with concealed blades and things like that.
But I mean, you're still doing the same old stuff. You're still crawling through vents. You're still hacking computers to turn off security cameras or read people's emails.
Aye.
You're still just like hiding behind walls and that kind of thing. It's just the same game. That's all I can really say about it. But I mean, if you liked Human Revolution, you'll like Mankind Divided. It's that simple. But
okay.
I mean, if you're expecting something majorly drastically different, you're gonna be disappointed.
And some suggestion that it might not be as big a game as certainly not as big a game as Human Revolution.
I'm getting that feeling.
But maybe reports are still coming in.
Yeah.
Reports are still coming in on
coming
that
in.
So.
They're on my desk.
Aye.
In my inbox.
Yeah. We'll collate that information. We'll tabulate it, and we will disseminate it when the time comes.
Oh, good words. Good words.
Oh, seminate.
Good words with Euan.
That's my spin-off podcast.
Right. Well, I'm going to, I think I might just leave that there for
Okay.
the time being because, like I say, I'm enjoying the game. I just don't think it's anything new.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll leave it to Pawel to do a proper review of that, I think, in a couple of weeks' time. Because he really, like you say, he really immerses himself in these games, so he'll be a lot more poetic about it, I think. So yeah, that's Deus Ex Mankind Divided. That's by Eidos Montreal and Square Enix. It's on Microsoft Windows, PS4 and Xbox One. Okay.
Cool.
Right, let's move on then, Euan. Yeah. You've been playing a
little
adventure game, I think?
New games, or certainly giving something new in a game. I've been playing Gone Home.
Yep.
By the Fulbright Company. Small indie game. It's been doing the rounds. I think various people probably picked it up on the PlayStation Store. So it's sort of listed as a first-person adventure exploration game, but I would describe it more as sort of an interactive short story.
Right.
That's what it feels like most to me.
There's a lot of those going about just now.
Yeah, and we've talked about, it was a couple of episodes back, I mentioned visual novels.
Yeah.
I think Pawel mentioned them last week as well. There was one in the Help collection. This is more of a linear story. Mm-hmm. And there's no variance to it or anything like that. There's no multiple endings. It's telling one individual story. And I found it a really interesting way of doing it. You're not presented with anything other than just the house that you explore and the sort of objects that you pick up and things that you read. That is it. Right. And I'd say I don't know how much to go into this review, how much to give away, because a lot of people are saying, you want to go in with no expectations.
Yeah. And
it does kind of wrong-foot you in certain things, and I can see a lot of players, a lot of people who might just pick this game up randomly getting a bit annoyed with it. Because they're expecting certain things, and it's not what this game is trying to do. Basically, you start off. You hear a phone call from the character you're playing to our parents in Portland, and it's set in 1995. It's at the tail end of grunge and the beginnings of the Riot Girl.
Well, that's weird because when you say 1995, that's what I thought of.
No, and that is like really that's really relevant to the story. I mean, one of the things that kind of kept me going with this and really enthused me about it was I like the setting. I like that kind of I'm a fan of the Riot Girl punk stuff, and there's loads of that music in the game. You find tapes around the place that are from these various bands, and there's actually a couple of bands, Bratmobile and Heavens to Betsy, that are credited in the game, and it's their music, but it's meant to be tapes that your sister has. And there's also another band, the Youngins, who basically play music for a fictional band in the game called Girl Scout. And essentially, it's you've come home from a year abroad.
Right.
And you've informed your parents and basically said, I'm getting in a late night, don't bother coming to the airport, pick me up, I'll come straight to the house. In the time you've been away, they've moved, your family have moved house, so your mum and dad and sister Sam, they've moved to a different house, this sort of mansion in Portland, this old family home of a relative of theirs. And you get to the house, there's nobody there. It's a stormy night, it's dark outside and everything. And there's a note on the door from your sister saying that she's basically run off. She doesn't want you to go looking for her or anything like that. Doesn't want your parents to find her or anything. And you're thinking, okay, what's going on? And essentially, it's the unfolding of that story. And it's told, it takes only maybe a couple hours to play. And you're going around the house. It's very sort of like finding very sort of mundane things and like letters, and it's because they've moved. There's like boxes and things out, so you're seeing sort of bits of the family's past being left out, and sort of maybe things that you wouldn't normally see because they'd be tidied away somewhere. And you start to form an idea of like this family, these three characters, because you actually don't really get a lot about the person you're playing. They keep that mainly in terms of sort of maybe diary entries or things talking about interactions they've had in the past. And you start to get an idea, like these, the mother and the father and the sister. The sister Sam is basically the main character of this story.
Oh, okay.
You're sort of learning about what's happened with her, why she's left. I won't. Yeah, I don't think I'll spoil it because essentially I've said enough of the story, and I think that's kind of like it's quite interesting learning about it, even though it's quite a mundane, almost like sort of teen angst kind of short story thing. It's told really well, and it's presented to you in a way you wouldn't get if you just picked up a short story or something like that. But you get the same experience in basically experiencing a story in a kind of interactive way. And I thought it was like really impressive for the way they put that together and the way they sort of staggered things so that you learned things at different times. And you kind of almost like the stuff like the mother and the father kind of almost like side characters. You learn bits about their interactions with the daughter, but also bits about their lives. And it's the one thing that I kept coming back to, and again going back to like the 90s setting, it was like this is as close as I think you'd ever get to a Daria game, the cartoon spin-off from Beavis and Butthead, and because it's like it's the same. It's that same sort of setting. It's 90s, all that sort of like riot girl punk and kind of like urban rebellion, suburban rebellion sort of stuff. And there's like, yeah, even like the mother and father in it are almost identical characters to the mum and dad from Daria, and a lot of those kind of shows at the time, because it's dealing with, they were all sort of dealing with the sort of men becoming slightly emasculated by a new wave of sort of more professional, like, women getting more opportunities and work and stuff like that. So it was, the mother was a wildlife conservationist, and she's doing really well in her job. And there's some suggestion of a sort of romantic liaison with a younger co-worker. And then the father's like this sort of kind of sad sack. He's he was like a writer. You find these novels that he's written. They're about like a time traveller preventing the assassination of President Kennedy, so you can kind of imagine the sort of books that he's writing. Okay. And there's great bits, like there's bits where you find a letter from his grandfather, and you find like a book that one of his father had written, and it was like this sort of really serious academic writing about James Joyce, and then for him, his son's sort of writing these pulp fiction novels essentially, and kind of you see a letter of encouragement from his father. It's sort of like, oh, it's good that you're getting into the writing game. I would maybe like a few suggestions about the subject matter, and basically slightly patronising, and just sort of being like, yeah, good that you're trying, but maybe you could do better than this. So it was like, there's a lot of like elements that like humour to it and stuff like that. The more you learn about the sister Sam, the more you really invest in her character, and you want to know more about what's happened. And yeah, I was amazed at how much it sort of drew me in.
So a couple of questions then. The game itself, is this kind of just take place in
just the one house?
Right.
You go from room to room. There's essentially a couple of bits where you unlock areas of the house.
Right.
Then you kind of go, just you find new parts essentially, and there's no real puzzles or anything to have to still. There's a couple of like combinations for locks and things to find. But essentially, it's just using your observation skills, and it's quite logical in where things are.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, you obviously a lot of exploration games, like find this ball in this room. It's not that random. It feels organic and it feels real.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, another question: have you finished the game?
I've finished it.
You have finished it. Right.
There is a couple of things I haven't, because I looked a bit more into the story. There's a couple of things that I think I just missed through just lack of observation, basically. Yeah. Things like dates coinciding and stuff like that you don't always pick up on. They tell you a bit more about it.
Is there like a definite sort of outcome to this story? As in, it sounds almost like some of it's been left up to your imagination rather than there's an actual outcome, like you find out what happens.
The outcome, what's happened, all the events are unchanged.
Right.
That always, like everything that's happened, you're just kind of, as a player, sort of trying to understand what those events are. And yeah, so like certain things aren't like explicitly said. The story with your sister is pretty much played out, and you know exactly what's happened there. And actually, sort of the ending of the game, you basically come to, because you get these diary entries that'll play when you pick up certain objects that kind of progress that story.
Right.
And at basically the end of the game, you find her diary, and it's kind of, those have been sort of flashbacks from reading it. So it's kind of.
I was just wondering if it was one of those games that just kind of ends and it leaves it up to your imagination, because
no,
quite a lot of those kind of games do that.
What it does leave you thinking about is like, where does it go from here?
Right.
And that's what a good story should kind of do.
Of course,
it kind of makes you think about the characters and where they're going to go. But yeah, essentially the events are you know what's happened, and it's more just the little things that are sort of slightly hinted at in terms of people's character and what they might have done or didn't do. Certainly more in the case of the parents.
Cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'd recommend it for an afternoon's entertainment.
How long is it, roughly?
I think
we're talking like a couple of hours here.
Only a couple of hours. I mean, it wouldn't. It's not the sort of game that would sustain being played over like a long period of time. There's one. I think there was one. There was like a safe I didn't open or something like that. That might have had some other information in it, and there might have been a couple of bits of paper or letters or something that I didn't see. But
we're not talking about a 50-hour game here.
No, not at all. No.
But still, that's like some of the best games I've played have been really short, like Journey and stuff like that. So length doesn't make it a bad game. Right, well, that's Gone Home. Yeah,
and I hope to see. I don't think there's many games I certainly haven't encountered anything that does what that does in terms of basically presenting a story.
Aye,
and I think hopefully it's something we'll see a bit more of.
I mean, definitely Steam has got a lot of these kind of games on them.
Yeah,
they're a mixed bag. Yeah. There are some pretty good ones, and there are some that just have been slated. But there are definitely a few of them out there these days. Sort of similar feeling things. But just from what you've described to me, anyway, definitely.
Sort of okay.
Right, so that's Gone Home. It was originally released in Windows in 2013 and OS X and Linux, but it came out on the PS4 and Xbox One this year, 2016.
Cool.
And that's, Gone Home by Fulbright and Midnight City on the console. Right, so last up in the video games, we're going to talk about something fun like we like to do. We always end with something fun. It's like those news stories.
Have you been having fun, Chris?
Yeah, those news stories about a cat or something.
Yeah, of course.
Well, this is Tricky Towers.
Tricky Towers.
Which looks like a Tetris game when you first look at it. When you just look at it and you go, a Tetris clone, great. But no, it's not. It uses Tetris blocks, but it's got a difference. It still has that. The blocks are dropping from the top, okay? But you're doing different things with them, so it's not Tetris. These blocks don't disappear when you make a line, okay? Okay. So there's different modes in this game. There's like, you can play it single player, and there's a sort of like a campaign puzzle mode basically, where there's a bunch of set levels that you can play through.
Right.
But there's also online mode, where you can play against other people, which is a hell of a lot of fun. But I'll get into that in a second. So there's like basically 3 different types a game here, okay? So you've got a puzzle version, you've got a race version, and you've got, I think it's a challenge version it's called. Now, the race version is basically you have to get your Tetris tiles up to a certain height, okay? But there's physics in this game. So if you make a wonky tower, it will collapse,
right?
Okay? And you have to get up to a certain height within a certain time. So you've got to act fast, and the actual the amount of surface area that you start with is tiny. So when you're looking at, like, your Tetris level is reasonably wide. I don't know how many sort of single blocks it is. Is it 12, 16, something like that? Bit, yeah. I mean, you're talking about 8 here, maybe 6 on some levels. Just depends. So, like, you're going to build a wonky tower. There's really not a lot of ways around it. All right, and it just kind of it starts to sway. And if you put like an L-shaped one down that isn't sort of like lying flat, it will just sort of topple over. But then you have to try and put things on top of that, which will then start going wonky as well. And it's just
so it's just hitting the height you're supposed to before the
time runs out and the thing falls over. Right. But once you get it to that height, it has to stay at that height for 3 seconds. Alright, so there's been a few moments when I've been playing the race thing, but it's just been like, whoa, stay.
Come on.
But there are other things that happen in this game as well. So you get power-ups and stuff. You can also get things if you're playing against other people that you can mess up with their plans as well.
Yeah.
So some of the power-ups are pretty cool. So like you can get things like you can get one that turns your next brick into a solid rock, which means that the physics doesn't affect it. So you can just sit it on top of something, and even if the things underneath collapse, that'll still sit there. So you can sit and build on top of that if you need to. Right. There's other things like you get, I think it's vines, which the next block that you place, every block that's attached to that then attaches to that block to form like one block, one solid block.
Oh, right.
If you see what I mean, so that you can really like get a sort of solid grip on something, basically, if you've got lots of blocks attached to each other using the vines.
Yeah.
Because it makes a more stable surface.
That could be really useful, but also potentially...
Yeah, potentially it can mess with you. Really, really can. But if you get it right, it's really, really good. There's other things, stuff you can do to other people, like you can make their next block have a balloon on it so that it's much harder to get it to come down. You can make it so that the blocks spin randomly. You can make their blocks absolutely massive, so that they take up basically half their screen, and then they have to try and sit this on top of their tower somewhere. Like, it's absolutely insane. Sorry, I should talk about the other versions as well. Right. So that was the race version I talked about there. There's a challenge version where basically you have blocks that come out in a certain order, the same blocks that come out in the same order, and there's a line which is not very high up above your base level, and you're not allowed to go above that line. If you do, you fail. Okay. So you've got to try and that's where your real Tetris power comes in, because you've really got to see how can I fit all these blocks together, or start hanging things off each other, hope that they don't fall off, and and using the physics really, because if you're using the physics in this game, you can use it so if you put a block on top of something else, it's almost like building with bricks, if you see what I mean. You don't build your bricks up one stacked on top of each other. You sort of put them off to the sides, because then they sort of weigh the certain top and they don't topple. You start doing that when you're playing this game, so that you can keep blocks into place and sitting next to other things. So the challenge mode is that's like a much more puzzly thing. Definitely much more puzzly, but extremely frustrating. But when you get it right, man, that's good. The other one, the sort of challenge version, I think it's called that, I can't actually remember. The challenge version is you have 3 lives, and you basically, if a block falls off, you lose a life, but the blocks just keep coming. And this is again where you get all the power-ups and stuff like that. Now, playing that against other people is just hilarious, because you can just really mess with each other. If you manage to get the sort of power-ups in at the right time to mess with other people's plans, it's just great. So yeah, I mean, playing it online is definitely the way to go with this. I mean, the single player mode is fun. It is fun, don't get me wrong, but the online mode, I've been playing online with one of your friends, I've been playing with just random people, and it's just hilarious. And you don't really feel like, you get a lot of these online games where it's like, you feel if you lose that you're just like, oh, I'm shit at this, I'm not playing. What I get with Tricky Towers is, alright, I'm shit at this, I'm going to keep going. Right, I'm just going to keep going, because it's just stupid and it's fun, and you might get lucky, or you might, other people might just fail, because it's just random bricks coming down at the end of the day. But it doesn't sound like much, but Jesus Christ, I've been playing it a hell of a lot the past few days. And it came on PS Plus last month in August, actually.
Alright.
So it was a freebie. Console. If you've got PS Plus, then you would have got Tricky Towers.
Right.
So if you've got it sitting there, fire it up, because Jesus, it's a lot of fun. And I absolutely love sort of puzzly style games anyway. So
I did hear you laughing heartily about something the other day. I was like, can he be Deus Ex?
Well, it probably was.
Right.
It was probably just me pissing about in Deus Ex. But nah, it was most likely Tricky Towers. Playing it online with one of your friends, in fact, and just sitting there chuckling away to yourselves, just absolutely great fun. Grab it. It's on PS4. Apparently it was released on Steam as well, but I'm not really seeing a release date for that here anyway. Okay, but that's by Weird Beard, and yeah, I think it came out this year.
Cool.
Good game.
Good game.
Right, I think that's our video game section wrapped up, and as usual, Pawel's not here, and we've managed to keep it nice and short.
I bet it's been minuscule in comparison to a Pawel episode.
Generally, Pawel starts a sentence with, well, and then that's him off for 15 minutes. So, we're going to have a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some tabletop games. We are back for board games.
Some board games.
the tabletop section. No RPGs this week because Baffle's not here. Hey!
The tabletop corner.
Well, we're going to start off because I got another one of my Kickstarter acquisitions through. You know me, I love a good Kickstarter acquisition.
You to acquire.
Kickstarter acquisition.
Kickstarter.
But this is Mare Nostrum Empires. So it's a board game by a designer that I don't think he's done much else. Serge Laguet or Laguet, something like that.
No, wait, he's... Oh, God, he's done something.
Has he done something?
We may have to research. No, he's definitely done something we've talked about on this podcast.
Let's have a look. Okay, we've had a quick look and we take that back. Sorry, Sergey.
I knew we'd mentioned his name at some point.
He's done 2 games that we own.
Yes.
So he did Shadows over Camelot.
Yeah, which we talked about a few many months ago.
Yeah, we did. And Mystery Express, he did that. He's done several other things, but it's just stuff that we haven't played. But yeah, this is Mare Nostrum Empires, which is by Academy Games. And I don't know how to describe this game. It's kind of strange. If it was to try and put it in a box, I was trying to
sort of come up with a wee thing. I had down a classic civilization conquest stroke development game. Classical civilization, sorry. Classical.
That's
but it's essentially
accurate.
It's slightly kind of sort of abstract, almost like God mode role playing of your sort of...
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
God mode. But, I mean, the basic game is that it's set in the ancient world, okay? And it's kind of loose with its timings of that.
There's certain civilizations that pop up next to each other that aren't
That really shouldn't.
Yeah. Just for the fact that you've got Greece and Rome in their pomp.
Yeah. Greece and Rome in their pomp.
Right next to each other.
You've also got Babylon, you've got Egypt, and you've got the Carthaginians. Mm-hmm. So those are the 5 in the base game. I do have an expansion for it, which we didn't actually play it with the expansion.
No, we did not.
But the expansion adds the lost city of Atlantis, so you can play as them. Yeah. The expansion kind of adds more sort of mythical stuff to it. But the basic idea of Mare Nostrum Empires is that you're running one of these civilizations, and you can battle each other, you can do a trading thing, and there's a culture thing as well, so you can build buildings and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of weird to try and figure out like which of these aspects of the game is the most important one, because I don't think there is.
No.
Because there are different ways of winning the game. So
that's the thing, it does feel like a lot of different things, this game. It's because you've got the conquesty part of it. I mean, you have your map with all different areas, and you can build units and move them about, and actually, like, you know, kill off other people's units, or, you know, it's a bit more complicated than your sort of Risk or thing or something like that. But essentially, you can go in full sort of conquest of various areas. So you've got that, but then there's certain Euro flavours to this game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You've got it's a multiple paths to victory, but it's an instant win.
Yeah.
Once you get the thing, and there's a sort of set collection thing at the sort of core of the game, because one of the ways you can win is you basically buy the pyramids.
Yeah,
you construct the pyramids.
Well, you can. You say buy them. I suppose you do buy them.
Essentially, that's what you do in this game.
Well, we'll talk about the mechanics of it, I think, and then we can actually... So, what actually happens is, like you say, we've got a map of the sort of, like, the Mediterranean area sort of thing. So you've got your Italy and Greece, and you've got North Africa, Egypt, and sort of Western Asia, I suppose, which is where Babylon starts. And it's split into different areas, and each of these areas will give you something. So they're little sort of trade goods, and there's a lot of different trade goods in this game. Yeah,
is there not like a total of 12 or something?
I think it's possibly 12.
I think it's meant
15.
Because this comes in the sort of victory conditions. But
and you've also got gold as well, so you can include that as a trade good. But the two things are kind of considered separate. So you've got your trade goods and you've got your gold. Yeah. Now, you get gold through building certain buildings, and then in the start of every round you'll get some income off of that. And you'll also get income from if you've built caravans in these areas with the different trade goods in. Now, generally the areas they'll have 1 or 2 different trade goods in. Yeah. No more.
So you have to build a caravan for each one.
Yeah, and you have to build a caravan for each good. Yeah. So at the start of the turn you'll get them in. And they're different. They're things just like wheat and iron, and you get some more obscure ones like porcelain and Trying to actually remember what
there's quite a lot. You got olives, grapes, cloth,
right.
Iron and stone.
Yep.
There was one, I guess it was silk or cloth or something like that. I thought it was a ghost.
Yeah, that's right.
You harvest ghosts.
I think it's supposed to be gladiators, actually.
That makes more sense, because I think it
was a helmet, wasn't it? It looked like a ghost.
Yeah, because one way it kind of looks like a swatch of fabric or something that's just hanging in the air, and you go, ooh, a ghost.
So you're collecting these trade goods. At the start of the game, I think everybody owns 3 areas.
Yeah.
And you'll get different incomes depending on who you are. I started as Carthage. I think I got a decent amount of trade goods, but not a lot of gold. I think Greece starts with shitloads of gold, but they start with lots of buildings.
Yeah.
Rome starts with... I think they start with more military units, don't they?
A lot more military units, and I think a good bit of trade as well, actually.
Yeah, a decent bit of trade,
Was it iron?
So and as the game goes on, you can expand, you can just move out and start taking over all these different areas. Obviously, if somebody else is in an area, you're going to have to fight them for it. You're going to have to try and take it off them. Yeah. But what you're doing with these trade goods and your gold is that you have to use those to then buy your caravans, to buy your buildings, to buy your units. Yeah. And you have to do that by basically creating sets of them. Now, you create sets of trade goods by having different types of trade goods. So you can't create a set of, say, 3 wheat. It has to be 3 different things. So you can have a wheat, an iron, and, say, a stone. And then you can spend that to get something. And generally, the cost of things, it's like 3 for the most basic thing, like a caravan or a
Caravan are generally military units.
Yeah, or
I think even
basic military unit.
The fortress is possibly 6. I can't remember that.
But then you've got 6 for the slightly higher things, so you can actually upgrade your caravans to double their income.
Yeah.
And you can build better. I think the fortresses are possibly 6.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it, isn't it? But you can also use the gold to buy things. So you can't mix the gold and the trade goods, but you can buy something. So you could say buy a caravan with 3 gold.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing where you can have the same thing, basically. And it's quite interesting that, because the buildings give you, like your towns and stuff give you income in gold.
Yeah.
Whereas your caravans give you income in trade goods. So you've got to kind of decide what you're going for there.
Yeah. Well, the trade goods in general are probably easier to get hold of, because there's not that many buildings, essentially. I mean, because when you move into a new area, you can't really change what comes from there. You just can develop it and take that as income and control it.
That's right. There's different spaces on the map.
Aye.
So you can't put a caravan in somewhere that has no trade goods, because some areas don't have any. And you can't build a building in a space that doesn't have a building space. It's that simple.
Yeah.
There are special buildings as well. There are legendary cities, I think.
I think that's why Greece has a lot of sort of legendary buildings, so they get more income.
I think Greece just start the game with more buildings than anybody else. I think that's what it is, and they do have a lot of income. I mean, we only played the game with a 3-player game, which was just Rome, Greece, and Carthage.
And it felt quite short.
And it felt quite short. Because this game looks like it could be complicated when you look at it at first, because you start to think back of like these sort of older board games. You're like, oh Christ, I'm putting little square tokens on the map. Is this going to just fry my brain? But no, it's not. It's actually, once you start playing it, it's really easy to play.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Now, you win the game through... There are different victory conditions. Now, there's a little... what would you call it? Thing at the side of the map that's like... that keeps track of everybody's different levels and things. So you've got like culture levels, and you have culture from certain buildings.
Well, because that's how basically the turn, because there's three actions essentially in each turn, and they're based on these tracks. So that you've got your culture, there's trade, culture
and military strength.
And whoever's sort of the highest up of these tracks will be the person that starts each one. So you start off with the trade. And you have to.
And that's an interesting bit.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
And I played the entire game as the trade leader, which meant, because I just had more trade than anybody else as Carthage, and that meant that I got to decide at the start of every turn, you have to sort of trade with each other. So you take your income of your trade goods, and then the trade leader gets to. You've got these little chips. There's 3 of them. They're double-sided. They've got like just different numbers basically on them. So it could be one.
It's like 0 to 5, isn't it?
0 to 5 basically. So the trade leader picks one of those, and that's how many things you've got to trade that turn. And then everybody has to secretly pick that many things. So if I've picked 4, you've got to pick 4 things. You secretly put them out, and then everybody gets a turn taking one off each other basically. So if you're the trade leader, I felt that put me in a really powerful position, because I could really just dictate what I was getting that turn basically, or how much good stuff I was getting that turn.
Because you're always getting first pick.
That's it. I was getting first pick, and I was deciding how many we were getting basically. So if I needed a lot of different things, I could just put 5 out. If I didn't need anything, I could put out the 0. I could just say, no, you guys are not trading, you're not getting anything because I've got everything I need here. Like, and that's that I felt that gave me a lot of power. Yeah,
I think it definitely helped you. I mean, that's kind of because you play the game in the order of those. You do trade, building, and then your military stuff. So you can kind of work out how you're going to do. There's almost like there's a certain intricacy to the turn, the sort of the round as it's played, because you can change, who's initiating each turn depending on what your power is on one of those tracks. So there's a lot of like jiggery pokery to be had there.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, because like you say, when it comes to the culture turn, basically the person who's the culture leader gets to pick who builds first. Yeah. So if you're the culture leader, and this was Dave for most of the game, I think, wasn't it? When we played. Yeah. That he just basically decided he was Greece and he was up against you, Rome, on his other side, basically. You were all constantly threatening him.
I was messing with him.
So he could basically say, right, you build first, because he could wait and see what you built, basically, which put you in a sort of slightly weaker position, because then you had to then make your intentions pretty much clear about what you were going to do.
But then also, pretty much through the entirety of the game, I was the military leader.
That's right, aye.
And I only got worse as it went on. But I mean, I was able to use that to my advantage as well. I could kind of say, right, well, you go first.
Yeah, you move first. Aye.
It puts someone in a position where either if they were planning to attack, they're like, oh well, I've basically been exposed here. I've got to go first, so I'm going to. And then either they're going to have to rethink their strategy and not move, or put themselves, basically play their hand before I get to move.
That's it.
So yeah, I found that quite helpful.
Yep. And then the other thing we should mention about this is the heroes and the wonders.
Aye.
So they're actually, I mean, you pretty much ignored these.
I didn't go for a single one. It was a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea. But these, you've got a bunch of heroes and wonders that you put out at the top of the board, and they're pretty much, some of them are mythical, some of them aren't. You've got, is it Romulus and Remus or whatever they are?
Roman Reem.
Yep, and you've got things but you've got, I mean, Carthage starts the game with Hannibal. Rome starts the game with Julius Caesar. I can't remember who Greece starts with. It's possibly Ptolemy or somebody like that. But all these heroes give you a certain ability as well. So I had a couple. I had one that was basically I could interrupt in the building turn to build first if it would win me the game, which was a really weird power, but it did win me the game in the end. So it's you could stop the culture leader from picking who went first. You could just say, wait, stop, I'm going to go first. And then it would, but only if it would win me the game, basically. And you've got other things like Hannibal would let you, I think he could use 2 of the same trade good in a set if he wanted to. Yeah. Which was, again, pretty powerful.
Well, I was looking at things I remember looking at hoping certain wonders would come out. That's kind of what I was waiting for. There was one, I think, the I can't remember if it was the Hanging Gardens or something. Or there was something that basically let you store more goods, because basically at the end of each round you'd have to get rid of any leftover goods. So you kind of want to spend as much as you could. Yeah. Each round, because you'd have to chuck, I think, everything apart from 2 gold coins, or nostrums as we kept calling them. So there was stuff that would let you build up your trade a bit, because one of the ways the other way you can win is, as we said, the pyramids. Yeah. And that is essentially, that's kind of like a domination victory, because if you're able to do that, because
you're basically getting all of
the trade goods that are available on the map, and that takes a lot of doing.
I was very close to doing that as well.
I was getting close as well. My plan was to basically smash Dave and take those things. Actually, I saw a couple on your side of the map as well. I was looming at.
Well, I was trying to just make those not as appealing. Actually, I got that wrong. I wasn't Romulus and Remus. It's Castor and Pollux.
All right.
But you do, some of the other heroes like Gilgamesh, once per round you can build one fortress for only 1 coin or 1 stone. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Because considering they generally cost us 3 or 6. Now, the multiple paths to victory thing, because one of the other ways that you can win that, we've talked about those 3 tracks, is that if you become the leader on all 3 of those tracks, you win the game as well.
Yeah.
That was another way of doing it. I think if you also manage to capture, is it everybody's capital city? I think that's a military victory. Yeah. So, yeah, there are different ways of winning this. There are different routes that you can take. And I won the game.
Yeah.
By...
You built the most wonders and...
Yeah, I built the most wonders. That's another thing. If you manage to get 5 heroes and or wonders, you win the game straight away. And that's how I ended up winning.
Well, you only need to actually build 4 because you start off with 1.
You start off with 1, aye. So, but if you have 5, basically, because the one that you start with counts. And that's how I won the game. But but I mean, even if I'd lost that game, I still think I would have really enjoyed that. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing it again. Yeah.
It's like, well, it's what I would say about the Euro games. It keeps you involved.
Yeah.
And I can see, the only thing I was thinking earlier about, if you're playing a 5 or 6 player game or whatever it is you can do, this might run into the kind of territory where folk will be knocked out of the game essentially.
Yeah.
For it to continue, but it has kind of set it up so that you can get to a quick sort of conclusion.
Yeah.
And you're not. It's not really meant to be, you're going to take over the whole map and.
Aye, it's not Risk. No.
Aye, it's not
like
that.
Risk or anything like that.
Yeah, it's more meant to, and it kind of does give you a sort of, because the way it sets up each race, it kind of sets you up to play roughly in the way that they kind of do it. I mean, because you'll have a hero that'll be themed on that, and there'll be certain things about the territories that you have that are based on that. So there is a certain role playing element to it.
I mean, I really did go down that route though. Because, well, in a way, I suppose, because I mean, I ended up winning by getting the 5 heroes or wonders. I found it was 5 heroes I had,
it's prestige,
and that was just through spend and trade.
Yeah,
because the heroes get more expensive the more of them you have, and I think the last one I bought it cost 11. I think it was, which meant I was only like 1 away from building the pyramids.
Enough. Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, I could probably get this going, but I just couldn't seem to.
Because it starts off, I think the first one's 8 possibly. And then the next one's 9, the next one's 10, the next one's 11. So, yeah. But I mean, but by the end of the game, even in fact, the whole way through the game, my military presence was negligible, basically. I think I only had about 3 units on the board and a boat. And that was it. So, like, it's not like you say, it's not like Risk. There's different ways of winning the game. And you don't have to just go and rampage everybody, even though the game looks like it's set up for that.
I mean, I kind of went for that, but I went for it too late in the game, I think, to really have an effect.
You spent way too long building up.
Yeah. Well, basically at one point, though, I slowly started getting a lot of resources together, and then at one point I realised I could spend quite a lot.
Yeah.
But rather than going for the bonuses, which I thought, I was like, oh, these will be useful, but they might leave me strategically weak for a turn or two. But I probably should have just gone with them. But I think if I'd built up more military at the start and just started hammering you guys, then it would have pushed you. But at the time I started doing it, I wasn't really a threat to anybody.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right, well, that's Mare Nostrum Empires.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad, because quite a lot of these Kickstarter acquisitions are kind of hit or miss. Even though they look good on paper, they can just end up being not really hitting the mark that you were expecting. But this one has. This one really has. I mean, it's not quite what I was expecting, but I actually think it's better than what I was expecting. I think
actually, when we weren't quite sure what to make of it when we were started playing it. It took us a few rounds to really get into it.
Aye.
So yeah, I would like to play it again. And it looks great as well.
Oh yeah,
lovely
really
box.
I mean, the miniatures
pieces,
in it. They have each civilization has their own little sort of helmets to represent their military units, and they're themed towards the civilizations as well. So it's actual helmets they might have worn, stuff like that. So yeah, they look really good. It's definitely worth picking up this game. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to play the expansion as well. That adds more a 6th civilization, more areas, more heroes, more wonders, a couple of different rules that look quite interesting. So yeah,
cool.
Good. Right, let's move on to again. Let's end on a fun one.
Yeah, let's have a human interest story.
Right, Euan, tell me about Robo Rally.
Oh, well, Robo Rally, as the box says, is a frenzied race filled with computer-driven chaos. I think the frenzied race and chaos words are meant to be highlighted in some way. They're just in a different colour.
Well, this is a classic game, though.
It really is. I mean, we looked this up before, and you said, what, 1994, did
1994,
you say?
which is old for a board game.
So we've been this has been interesting. We've been switching from the cutting edge to 1994 in both of our sections.
That's true.
It's quite interesting, that. Yeah, essentially, it is what it is. It's a robo rally. It's a robots racing around a factory floor.
Yeah.
You've got various daft wee robot designs you can choose, little miniatures for those. And essentially what you do is you have a wee board with 5 slots for programming their moves.
Yep.
And you'll draw, I think it's 9 cards, and you have to choose from those to sort of decide where your robot's going to go. And you'll have little stages around it. There's different maps you can set up, and they'll have different obstacles on them, and things will be different sizes. And there's basically little flag things, markers you can put around the place. It'll tell you on the in the instructions.
There's scenarios in the rulebook basically that tell you where to put these flags and what boards to use.
Right. So it gives you they've worked it out. Probably the most brutal ways.
Some of them are easier than others, and they tell you that basically.
Yeah, I mean, we had a go at one at the weekend. It was fairly leisurely.
Yeah.
And you've got sort of obstacles around there like conveyor belts and things that will move you about, and
lasers
cogs that turn you, and lasers that will shoot you. And each robot also has a laser on the front of it as well. So if you finish your movement and you're facing another robot, you're going to shoot them. If they're facing you, they're going to shoot you back as well.
And that's quite interesting, because when the programming cards are all just got different things on them, like they might just say move 3 or move 2 or turn left or do a U-turn or back up. Basically, that's what they are. There's obviously also a turn right, but that's basically all that's on these cards. So what you're doing is you're just putting them 5 of them down, face down, and then you turn them up one at a time and do what it says. But this is where the chaos comes into it, because you can have completely messed up your programming just because your spatial awareness just wasn't working at the time.
Or you panic.
So you're sitting there and you go, right, okay, I'm going to go move 3 and then turn left and then move 2 and then do a U-turn and then turn
try to
left.
work out where you should be, also taking into account what the environment might do to you on the way.
That's right, aye. Because you've got to take, every time you move, you then, all the conveyor belts and all the cogs move that are on the board as well.
So if you finish one part of your movement program and you're on a conveyor belt, you're going to move wherever that conveyor belt takes you.
Yep, and if you don't take that into account, you still continue with your programming, whatever it is that you've programmed, but you might end up just going somewhere completely that you weren't expecting.
You're a square
off the side of the board. Ramming into other robots. Now that's fun as well, because if you ram into a robot, obviously nobody knows what each other's programmed. So if somebody gets in your way and you ram into them, you're going to push them, which means that they'll not be where they expected to be when they were programming their cards, which really messes with them. Yeah. And there's a lot of swearing in this game at times.
I've seen it go pretty badly wrong, but that's almost like part of the enjoyment of this game.
No, that's totally what it is.
Seeing how badly you can do at it.
I mean, generally, you don't really play this game to win, you just play it to see how badly it's going to go for everybody. It can just be like, it's fun. And one of the other things is when you get shot, this is what I was... When you get shot, you take damage. Mm-hmm. Now, when you take damage, so at the start of every turn, you get dealt 9 random cards. If you get shot, for every damage point you've taken, you get dealt 1 less card, which means that you've got less options to program with. If you get shot a certain number of times, I think it's 5, you have to start locking cards in place. So the turn that you got shot, mean the cards that you had programmed there have to stay. So if you've got a move 3 at the very end of your track, you then have to take that into account. That's always going to be your last move until you manage to repair yourself. Yeah. Because there's little repair spots on the board and stuff. You can also get power-ups. Some of them are quite fun.
A few of them.
You get ones that fire lasers out the back of you as well. You get, I got, what was that, a 6th gear? Or something like that, which basically meant that whenever I put a move 3 in, I could use it as a move 4 instead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a reverse gear that allowed me, if I used most of the reverse, I think all the reverse cards, I just back up 1 space.
Yeah, it's
I could back up 2.
Yeah.
Which helped me out, because I kept not getting the right movement cards, but a lot of turning ones, so I would just turn around and then reverse all the way.
Reverse it. Yeah. And that really messes with your spatial awareness.
Oh, yeah, you have to completely rethink how you're doing things. I was using a lot of U-turns, though, that kind of made things a bit easier.
Yeah. But, the game's just like, it's quick, easy to play about. I mean, some games can go on for a long time, but the scenario booklet tells you how long roughly a game will be, depending on the boards that that it uses in that scenario. And there's quite a few scenarios in there. And you can just make your own. I mean, there's a lot of boards in this that all have like different variations on where the conveyor belts and the cogs and the lasers are and stuff like that. So there's plenty of variation there that'll keep you amused for quite a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it plays up to 8 people. 8 people on one board though, it's just like that's just
great.
Fucking chaos. Absolute chaos.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. It's not going to work, and that's the point of the game. But yeah, Robo Rally, it's still available as far as I know, even though it's 22 years old.
Anyone would put it out of print. It's a wonderful game. We're still going back and always still enjoy it every time we drag it out.
I don't know why we haven't talked about it before, actually, because it's just such a good game.
It's a real standard to the gaming collection.
We talked about in the birthday episode about games that you can like get people into board gaming. I would say this is one of them.
Oh, definitely.
This shows you just how sort of fun board gaming can be.
It's a good party game.
Indeed. Anything else you want to add about Robo Rally, Euan?
Not really. I think we've covered everything there is to say about it. It's just a lovely looking wee game, and it's a lot of fun to play. Nice wee miniatures as well. You've got your spin bot and your all little characters. Hammer bot. I usually go the short circuit robot, I think.
Yeah, I always go spin bot.
I
just quite like his little whirlwind look. But the miniatures are really nice in this.
Yeah.
There are some good pictures on Board Game Geek, actually, people that have painted their miniatures.
Oh, nice.
And some of them look really fucking good.
Cool.
So yeah, that's Robo Rally. I've got the Avalon Hill version. Look, there's loads of people have published this game. I think the rights for it just keep getting handed left, right and centre. But I know that Hasbro at one point had it, and various other people. But yeah, I've got the Avalon Hill version with the nice miniatures. You know, it's just good. Right, well, that brings the episode to an end. A much shorter episode after our bumper bonus birthday episode.
Well, we've put out a lot of content these last few weeks,
yeah,
Chris.
A lot of content. Yes, we're content creators.
Oh, we've created some content and we put it on the internet.
I really dislike. I don't know why I dislike that term.
It does kind of demean doing anything. I mean, I'm not saying we're producing, but like any like creative output, a person just describing it as content,
yeah,
it always it becomes.
It sounds just like cynical. Like I don't know. It's just like, I'm just creating content for people to consume.
Aye. That's essentially what we're doing. But you know, we like to.
No, we're creating.
Closet ourselves in our delusions.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Aye,
Fair enough.
Nothing wrong with it. It's how you live life. How you stay happy.
Right. So brings the show to an end. We'll do the internet. So if you want to email us any comments, questions, etc., you can do so at firstplayertoken@gmail.com, and that's FIRST player token, one word. You can find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. Again, First Player Token with FIRST. We're on Twitter, but that's at 1ST Player Token.
Once Player Token.
Once. My Twitch username is Unnecessary Chris if you want to watch me playing stupid games. And we are part of the Podnose Network.
Yes.
Which is a collection of podcasts.
It's a network.
It's a network of podcasts.
The UK's leading entertainment podcast network.
It is indeed.
It's still retained the tagline, so I can assume that still stands.
And we're trying to drag it down.
I hope we can provide some kind of entertainment
with our content.
Yeah.
And one other thing to say, actually, we got our first iTunes review, Euan.
Oh yeah, I pointed this out to you the other day. Yeah. It was nice to see that.
So that's Wee Drew Boy. I think we know who that is.
I think we've got some inkling of who it is.
I could be wrong, but right. We think we know who it is.
Okay.
And thanks very much, because that was a 5-star review. So
cheers. Yeah, keep them coming, folks.
Right, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. With any luck, we'll have Pawel in tow again.
Yeah, we'll get Pawel back. And aye, thanks for listening.
Cheers.
See you later.